Now, where we get tripped up at is the fact in this society, we don't look at the naked body of a woman as a symbol of the symbolic beauty reflective of nature as it once was. This is why when you go all over the world, you see a lot of naked statues of women, especially voluptuous women. Today, we have been taught to treat her as a whore because she's naked. And there's plenty of avenues in the media that allows us to do that, especially with the music videos and hell, and even porn. Whether it's the strip club or whatever, because there's a lot of things that we take out of context. The naked body of a woman was meant to be accepted as, wow, this is the exemplification of nature. The femininity along with that body is supposed to get us aroused, us men aroused, to prepare us for the act of creation. And I'm not only talking about the generation of offspring. I'm talking about our mental, spiritual offspring, which are our thoughts that are manifested in reality. In its early origins, what we call now the stripping or the strip game at one point was used by the temple priest and priestesses to make sure that before the sexual act, a certain ritual had to take place to make sure that everyone, both parties, were on the same page. The woman represents in this place symbolically as the initiator, being thought or the mental womb. It takes place in science like this. In the process of ionization, one ion, which is more so called or affiliated with the feminine ion, does certain emanations that looks like a dance under the electron microscope that will attract another ion, which will represent the male. And once that attraction begins, then that so-called male ion or particle will start to dance or gyrate and vibrate to a certain level also until it's on the level of the one that initiated. From there, they combine and form other molecules and then eventually form atoms. So, reflectively, this is what we're supposed to do in our relationships. There would not be a need for a temple priest or a prostitute or a whore or whatever kind if we understood the sciences of creation and how men and women are to interact with each other. Now, man and woman are animals, highest form of animals. Animal is a word in ancient times referred to as hue, meaning animal. Some people will say color, but in this respect, it's hue. Man represented mind or manas, which is a Sanskrit word that referred to one who was intelligent, the intelligible one, the thinker. So when you combine those two, man is supposed to be the ultimate or the highest animal. God manifested in the flesh, so to speak. Okay? So, dealing with that process, now you can understand why there's belly dancing, why that eventually turned into strippers or exotic dancers. They are all ways to get the male energy, especially our kundalini risen, and allow us to think about creation, allow us to think about sexual union. The way it's used today is not the same way in the past. And most of us just leave with a big hard on once we got enough money to pay that stripper to go into the champagne room or the VIP room, therefore turning it from a stripper watcher relationship to a prostitute and a John. See what I'm saying? So, with the porn star or watching porn stars, Men are thinking, well, this is safer because I'm not out with a whore. However, you look at it enough times, you're gonna require or maybe coerce yourself into go get something physical. And that physical may not even look like that. It may just be something to pass the time away. What most of us call drought prevention, a jump off, a jump down, or a bird, chicken head. Okay? So, I am dealing not only with the manifested terms, I'm dealing with its origin and how it affects us now. Okay? And I know that's not going to prevent some of you from going to still deal with prostitutes, whores, or whatever. However, by listening to this, you at least understand why or understand why you're doing that particular thing. I mean, I've thought about being with an escort or two. However, I've never had the opportunity to because I've just haven't. I mean, I've been with women. I might have been in some situations where it may have appeared that it was the contractual agreement between a John and a prostitute. Okay. However, I just haven't paid yet because I just haven't, you know. And I'm not saying I will, I'm not saying I won't. I'm just dealing with facts here, dealing with truth. And so, with that, all of what I said going in closing. Well, no, can't close yet because I still got to deal with porn. The positive things that have come from porn, okay, some may disagree. However, until porn, for some people, the female ejaculation was a myth until certain porn companies, especially that see more butts, show a woman ejaculate. So it's no longer a myth anymore or something that's fantasy like, oh, they can't do that anymore. Okay? So also there are certain positions that are used in porn that are also used in tantra. A lot of us don't know because we don't explore that deep. Okay? Then just seeing a woman, a beautiful woman, in the birthday suit in its natural glory is just awesome. And especially depending on what woman it is. However, here's the negative effects of porn. Porn can literally fuck your mind up. Porn will have men thinking that the only way that they can have a consistent and harmonious or a consistent and good sex life is if they have the big penis or the big lingam, the big dick. Okay? And also, it teaches men, some men, that in order to really give it to a woman, you gotta bang it. And some women have accepted this as reality. However, with that, banging and jumping around inside the womb like that can lead to other issues. It can lead to uterine tears, which will manifest as certain growths, irregular growths. It can mess up your whole feminine cycle and it can also injure your origins. Okay? Estrogen or estrone is emanated from this area. If you're banging and jumping in this area, you can interrupt the natural cycle of the estrone flow with this. And some women have accepted this as reality because all of their sexual experiences have all been like this and they don't know nothing better. So one thing the subconscious mind does is that even if you're doing something negative and it's painful, if you do it enough with no knowledge of what's going on, you accept it as normal because you keep going back to it. Okay? The key to great sexual, I guess you say penetration, is a natural rhythmic snake-like flow that stimulates the G spot and allow that energy to flow through her cycle or through her channels and eventually flow in the man's channels. You'll have to get into Tantra to get all into that. I'll continue more in the next post. Hotel.